Hey guys, it's Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and put up two videos recently that had gameplay commentary, and I had a request to do a video that was about going to college. So it was kind of spawned from the what it's like to get your first job vid. So I thought, you know what? I'll cover going to college, and I'm going to try to do it in sort of a non-preachy, not the same thing that your parents tells you kind of way. So this is about the gameplay. I die a lot by YouTube standards, but I'd be lying if I said this was an average game for me. This is above average, so whatever. Anyway, going to college. So the first thing, and by the way, this is from the perspective of going away to college, mostly. But when you go away to college, there's being away from your parents for the first time and kind of living on your own is one of the biggest adjustments that you'll have to make. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is your relationship with your parents. And that's one of the coolest things. So if you're in high school, your parents are really kind of on you all the time, right? You know, they're on you about your curfew all the time. They're sitting there watching your homework. When you go away to college, I'm not going to say you're an adult, because to me, the adult implies kind of the whole package, right? Like paying your own bills, managing your own life, and being completely independent in terms of needing your parents' help. And maybe some of you are that when you go to college. You're living off loans and you're really severed from your parents. But probably not. They're probably your lifeline, at least to some extent. But your relationships with them still changes, right? Because they know darn well that, say, enforcing a curfew is a ridiculous thing when you just spent the last 9 months living in your own apartment virtually, in the dorms. So that changes a whole lot, and they start to treat you in a different way, and that's really cool. If your relationship with your parents is strained at the moment, then it probably one of the sources of that strain is you kind of fighting for your independence and them fighting to make sure that you live your life in the way that they expect you to. That dynamic changes so much. It's kind of refreshing when you first go off to school. And that's one of the coolest things about going to college. You will get homesick, probably. If you might think to yourself, no, I won't be homesick. I'm screaming to get out of this place. I can't wait. But absence makes the heart grow fonder, typically in these situations. And when your parents aren't there dogging on you, the downside of your parents goes away, and the upside is still there. So there's a good chance you'll go homesick, and you get a chance to see your parents. It'll be nice. It'll be refreshing. In my experience, and most of the people that I know, sort of that separation between parent and child, and that understanding and the more mature outlook you have on things, it really does a lot to improve your relationship. So that's kind of really cool. But enough about that. The other thing that comes with this is taking care of yourself. So I'm going to tell a story. When I was a kid, I used to get strep throat all the time. I had it constantly. And my mom, I'd tell my mom I had a sore throat. I couldn't wait to get out of school. And she'd take me to the doctor, and I'd be praying for a positive test on the strep. And they'd fix me. And that was that. Well, then I went off to college. And I didn't even realize that strep didn't just sort of go away easily. I didn't even know that medicine really worked. Like, it sounds crazy, but think of your life experience with medicine, and does ibuprofen really cure your headache? Well, it kind of goes away an hour or so later. But did the ibuprofen do it, or was it going to go away on its own? I never really had this sort of magic medicine moment until I had strep throat in college. So I ignored it for over a week. And it got worse and worse and worse. And your uvula is the thing that hangs down that you can see in the back of your throat. Excuse me. That thing got huge. It got not as big as a golf ball, but bigger than one of those maybe the size of one of those super bouncy balls, if you know those, bigger than a shooter marble. And every time I swallowed, it actually pulled down my throat, the very top of my digestive tract, and then pulled back, and it was extremely painful. And I got to the point where I didn't want to eat or drink. And then because I didn't want to eat or drink, I got even sicker. And then because I got sicker, I didn't want to eat or drink, and it just boiled out into this really out of control thing. And I didn't know really that I was supposed to take care of myself. And eventually my girlfriend, who I eventually married and still with, she took me to the urgent care center, which is kind of it's where you go when it's a weekend and your doctor's not there, but you're not quite a hospital case. And they saw me. They called it the most classic case of strep throat they'd ever seen. And he prescribed me some penicillin, and within less than a day, I was a whole new man. I was walking around, the swelling went down, things got better. But one of the takeaways from this was like, wow, without my parents there kind of looking at me and taking care of my health on my behalf, I sucked at it. So, I think you'll maybe run into the same sort of experience where, you have responsibilities that your parents used to just handle for you and you never really fully appreciated. So that's kind of the being away from your parents side of it. Time management is another thing. So when you go to college and no one's dogging on you all the time, then you have the freedom to make really good and really bad decisions. And that's something that you'll have to keep in mind. It is easy to skip class, right? Some professors don't even take attendance. They don't care. Some of the classes will have 300 students in them. And you'll be like, look, you miss a class, and it's so seductive. It's so nice. You miss a class, no one noticed, no one cared, but you had that time free. It's like playing hooky, but being allowed to play hooky. But you'll find that attending classes is a really good way to help with your grades. And you can get into a lot of trouble in a real hurry if you skip your classes too much. I had some peers who never skip classes, and I really look back and kind of admire them for that kind of discipline, because I was a bit of a slacker and it got me in trouble, which I'll talk about shortly. But you have to handle your own time management when you go to college, and that's a whole new thing that you'll need to get used to. The workload is a little higher in high school, but you'll be ready for it. I think it's not so much to me that the workload is too much to handle. It's that you're on your own dealing with that workload, and going to class is so huge in getting good grades. It's hard to get good grades without going to class. And it sounds obvious, but it's so easy to skip classes in college that you need to work that on your own. Also, with regards to sort of being on your own and not being monitored all the time, the drug scene. So a lot of guys have asked me to do a video about drugs, but the truth is I didn't really do drugs in either high school or college. I drank earlier in high school, but kind of stopped toward the end, and I definitely didn't drink in college, really. It wasn't my thing. I did sometimes, sometimes even to excess, but not a whole lot, and it wasn't really a big part of the party scene, so I feel unqualified to do a big drug video. Maybe someday I'll bring someone else in. But I will say I had a lot of friends who got into drug problems, and it was the same sort of thing. Without anyone watching them and, forcing them to behave, then they found it really easy to spend too much of their attention on marijuana, for example, or spend too much of their attention on alcohol. And when you do that, then you have the potential to make a really big mistake, and that really sucks. It sucks more than you know, because if you go through college and you finish it, then you're paving the road for the rest of your life. You've got that degree, and it opens up certain jobs that wouldn't be open otherwise. If you blow it and don't finish this thing, then it's not that your life is over. You can have a really good life, but you're gonna at least shut some of the doors, and you don't want to do that. So keep yourself under control there. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the ability to reinvent yourself. So if you're in high school now, then you probably have kind of a rut, a way that people expect you to be, and then maybe they push you back in that role if you break out of it. When you go to college, and there'll be all these new people that you haven't met before, then you can be anybody you want to be. If you want to be that guy that participates in intramural sports, be that guy. If you want to be more outgoing with girls than you were before, be that guy. Jump on the opportunity as you switch from the high school you to the college you to become the you that you really want to be, because that opportunity doesn't present itself all the time, right? This is one of those spots in life. And the last thing is, there's a lot of people who are watching this video who are probably already in college. And I'd love for you to leave your own comments on, what changes you saw when you first went to school. What is it like for you when you went off to college?